Are you wondering if you're struggling with inflammation and if it might be the root cause of feeling tired, perhaps achy, and maybe some belly fat? Well, here are the top 10 signs of chronic inflammation so you don't miss out on the opportunity to act on them now. Hello, I'm Dr. Patricia Mills, holistic medical doctor with a root cause approach to your health concerns, and welcome to the Wild Wisdom Show. Today, we're going to be covering the top 10 signs you might be struggling with inflammation. And the key thing here is that it's not always obvious. So here's what to watch for. Number one is constant fatigue. The thing with inflammation is that it disrupts the ability of your cells to make energy, and it specifically disrupts what are called the mitochondria. They're little energy producing units inside of your cells. And when our mitochondrial function goes down because of inflammation, our body generally makes less energy and we're going to feel more tired. So this is very, very key, and it can be one of the subtle first signs of inflammation. Number two is belly fat. Now, not everybody with inflammation experiences belly fat, but it is a very common sign. And if you have belly fat, weight gain around the midsection, that almost certainly indicates that you have issues with inflammation. In medical terms, it's called visceral adiposity, and it's a vicious cycle because once belly fat is deposited, that fat itself creates inflammation. And so getting at the root causes of the inflammation will not only reduce the belly fat, but also cause your general inflammation to decrease as well, turning it into a positive cycle. The third sign of inflammation in the body are aches and pains, and that can be in the joints, it can be in the muscles. And I've seen people with chronic lower back pain, for example, have it completely resolve when they address their inflammation. Some conditions like osteoarthritis or fibromyalgia have a very important inflammatory component. And when we address the inflammation, the associated pain goes down, whether or not the osteoarthritis, for example, was caused from a previous injury. It's not just from the injury in the past itself, it's from inflammation that might be increasing the pain. And when you address the inflammation, it's like you turn down the dial of the pain. For some people, it can also be pain or achiness that occurs after exercise, and they're having a harder time recovering from exercise. And that's a very subtle early sign. The fourth sign of inflammation is brain fog. So essentially, inflammation affecting the way that your brain is working. It could be for many reasons. It can be disrupting the neurotransmitters in your brain, which are essentially the brain hormones, also the mitochondria in your brain. And it can disrupt everything from your memory, being able to lay down good memory, forgetting things might become more common. And that could just be from aging, but it could be from inflammation as well. So it's good to pay attention to that, and other brain functions. So making sure that you're addressing inflammation when you're looking at brain health is very, very key, because inflammation also predisposes us to future issues with dementia, stroke, and Alzheimer's. The fifth sign of inflammation is problems with your digestive system. Your gut is actually where 70% of your immune system lives most of the time. And it's dysfunction of the immune system that causes inflammation. And so you can get early inflammation starting in the gut, but eventually spreading to other body parts. So some people will experience problems with constipation or diarrhea. Bloating is a very common sign of inflammation in the gut, or loose stools. And this could be inflammation talking. The sixth sign of inflammation is hypertension or high blood pressure. When the blood vessels get inflamed, they get thicker and they have a harder time relaxing, and that can raise your blood pressure over time. The seventh sign of inflammation is loss of muscle or a harder time building muscle. So maybe you're trying to add muscle bulk with exercise and you just don't seem to be getting anywhere. Or maybe as you're aging, you're losing that muscle mass even though you're exercising. So that can be as a result of what's called inflammaging, or that increased risk of inflammation with aging. It doesn't mean that we're supposed to get inflamed as we age. It just means that as we age, we have to become even more mindful about the lifestyle that can cause inflammation. Because when we were younger, we had more resilience. We were more able to deal with that lifestyle and recuperate. As we get older, our resilience decreases, and that same lifestyle can cause problems with inflammation in the body, which then results in all of these issues, including that loss of muscle mass, or difficulty building new muscle. Sign number 8 of inflammation is osteopenia or osteoporosis. It is well documented that chronic inflammation will result in minerals being pulled from the bones. That's the body's attempt to balance out the acidity of the inflammation. It's called low-grade metabolic acidosis. And the body will pull minerals from the bones to try to regulate and alkalinize and balance that acid-base balance in the blood. So when we see osteopenia or osteoporosis, yes, we do have to look at things like adequate calcium and magnesium intake and vitamin D and vitamin K2, but we also have to look at inflammation, because some people have all of those things dialed in, including strength training practices. But if they still have issues with osteopenia, osteoporosis, then inflammation is the next piece of the puzzle that needs to be addressed. Sign number 9 of inflammation is frequent infections or slow healing. So let's say you're noticing lots of viral illnesses or bacterial infections, and you just kept getting hit frequently, or whatever you get is lasting for a really long period of time. We do have to look at inflammation, because inflammation is basically a sign that your immune system is overwhelmed or unbalanced, and therefore, in addition to inflammation, it's going to have a hard time mounting a reaction against viruses, bacteria, and other invaders. So very important clue that inflammation may be an issue when we have frequent infections or difficulty healing our wounds. And the 10th sign of inflammation is skin issues. Chronic inflammation in the body and at the level of the skin have been well documented in conditions like eczema, acne, adult acne, dermatitis, rosacea, and psoriasis. If you're someone who's developing those conditions, you definitely want to really dive into inflammation and anti-inflammation strategies that will reduce those symptoms, which is basically your body's kind of fire alarm. Fire causes the smoke, and then we have our alarm systems in the body to let us know that there's a fire raging. The skin is kind of like that eruption, that fire alarm telling us, listen, something's going on in the body. So it's not enough to just use topical products on the skin to try to resolve the issue. Some people will develop eczema or rosacea or acne, and they'll just put things on their skin to resolve it. Now, that may make that specific rash or eruption better, but it won't address the underlying inflammation in the body that caused the problem in the first place. So you do need to look at all of the root causes of inflammation in order to address this. Wisdom is power. You don't want to ignore those signs, because you deserve to have less inflammation, which will make you feel energized, stronger, and clear-headed again. And the good news is that you can reduce inflammation. And I've put all of my videos up, and will continue to put all of my videos on the topic of inflammation in the inflammation playlist on my YouTube channel. That's Dr. Patricia Mills, MD. Go check it out. Be sure to leave a comment and to subscribe when you're there. That's the best way to support the Wild Wisdom Show, and share the videos. Sharing is caring, and you never know when someone might benefit from this wild wisdom. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, or night, depending on when you catch this, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.